All right, hello, thank you so much for joining me today. So what we did last time, right, is we worked through the properties of a very simple economy where we just have some stuff, right, beefaroni and water, and we tried to decide who gets what stuff. And what we concluded is that in that special type of economy, subject to conditions and assumptions that we'll be talking about in the next lecture primarily, we concluded that competitive equilibria are Pareto efficient. And what we mean by that, right, is that compared to the competitive equilibrium, there's alternatives that would make one person happier and another person sadder, but there isn't any alternative that would make everybody happier than they are at the competitive equilibrium, right? In other words, once we're at the competitive equilibrium, any changes that would potentially improve someone's well-being have to come at the expense of someone else. And we call that a certain type of efficiency, right? Because there's not something else that's clearly better from everybody's perspective. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be extending that analysis by considering economies where we don't just get stuff handed to us, right? We don't just have some allocation of beefaroni and water that we divvy up between people. Instead, we're going to think about economies where people actually have to produce stuff, right? Where there's productive processes governed by market forces that turn inputs into outputs. And in order to think about efficiency in that context, right, efficiency in production, rather than just efficiency in consumption, we're going to want to think about two particular types of efficiency. So the first, I'm going to call input efficiency. And this is essentially going to mean that we've organized production in a way that there's no other way to get more of all of our outputs. No alternative produces more of one output without giving up some other output, without getting less of some other output. So this is going to be, in some sense, a generalization of our plant manager's problem, right? We're going to ask, is our allocation of land and labor and capital, right, machinery and human talent to various industries and various productive processes getting us the production that we want in the most efficient way possible, right? And then the second thing that we're going to need is output efficiency. Which is essentially, are we producing the right stuff? Is the output that we're generating with the resources we have available the output that people value the most? So what it's going to mean is no alternative feasible output would make everybody happier. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, right? How do we allocate productive resources, right, inputs in production to different industries, and how do we decide how much to produce in one industry versus another? Now, these two efficiencies, combined with what we talked about last class, which I'm going to call exchange efficiency, which essentially says that there's no way to allocate output differently, right, to give one person more of something and another person less of something that would make everyone better off. So no alternative allocation of output makes everybody happier. Once we have all three of these, right, efficiency in inputs, efficiency in outputs, and efficiency in allocation between people, then we can say that our economy as a whole is Pareto efficient. Cool.